So now let's go ahead and try to add some styling to our particular web page. So as you can see, I've added a new product in here, which is a laptop bag, and I've also fixed the image for this particular bike right here. So our layout now looks pretty much consistent, but the thing is, still if you actually have a look at the layout, we still have a few more changes to do. So for example, let's say if you want to display the title of the product or the name of the product a little bit bigger as compared to the price, so we can make these changes by changing the contents of the CSS file. So right now this particular template does not have any CSS file, so let's go ahead and create one using the static folder. So first of all, whenever we actually want to create a CSS file for our template, the as usual thing which we do is that we add the static folder. So let's go into the app, which is shop, and let's create a new folder. So I'll call that folder as static. And once we have the static folder, in here we can go ahead and again create a folder with the name of the app. So I'll type in shop in here. So once we have this folder, we can now go ahead and add static files to it. So let's go ahead and create a new file, and I'll name it as style.css. Okay, so once we have the static file, let's now link this static file or the style.css file to our template, which is index.html. So now the very first thing which we do is that we go right after the bootstrap tag ends, which is right here in the head tag of the HTML. We simply go ahead and type in link rel equals style sheet, and the href is going to be the link of the static file. Now you cannot directly go ahead and mention the link over here. First of all, you need to mention static in here. So we will use the template syntax, and first of all we'll type in static, meaning that we would say this HTML document that it would need to first find the path of the static files for this particular project, and once it does so, it then needs to go ahead and go to shop/style.css. So as you can see, now we are pretty much into that particular path, which means that our CSS file is now linked to the HTML template. Now in order to check if this thing is actually attached in a proper manner, we go to the style.css and let's assign a background color to the body, and let's see if the background color actually changes. So the background dash color is going to be, let's say, red. And now if we go back here and hit refresh, as you can see, we are going to get an error because whenever you go ahead and create a static file, you actually need to mention a tag in here which says load static files. So in order to add that tag up here, let's go ahead, let's go right above to the first line, and in here you need to type in load static files. So once we make the change, hopefully we don't have any error this time. So when I go ahead and hit refresh, as you can see, we don't have any error as of now, but as you can see, we don't actually have the background color as red. So let me just go ahead and see what went wrong. Okay, so when I went ahead and when I actually restarted my server, the static file actually loaded up. And many a time what happens is that whenever you make changes to the static files, you may need to restart the server to properly load that static file. So as you can see, we now have the background red, and we are not going to keep it that way. This is just to test if our static file or the CSS file is attached to our template. So now once we know that it works, I'll go ahead and get rid of this. And now let's come down and start actually styling our web page. So the very first thing which we will do here is that we will actually go ahead, set the color of the price over here. So as you can see right now, the price is actually having a regular blackish color. So let's go ahead and make it green. So I'll go ahead and first of all get access to the price. So the price is actually present over here, and it has a class of cart text. So let's use the class selector and actually style up the product price. So I'll type in dot card dash text. And now once we have selected this particular class, I can now go ahead and add the color to green. So as you can see, when we hit refresh, we have this in the greenish color. And now let's also set the font width so as to make the text of these prices a little bit bolder. So I'll go ahead and type in font weight, and let's set the font weight to, let's say, 800. Let's see how that thing looks like. So when I go ahead and hit refresh, as you can see, the font looks a little bit bigger and better. So now let's also set a little bit of font weight to the product title as well. So I can go ahead and select the product title on the basis of the card title class. So I can go ahead, copy that, use the class selector, and in here just type in font weight to be, let's say, 900. So once we make that change and hit refresh, as you can see, now we have this thing look more bolder. And one more thing which you could do here is that you can add a $sign in here right before the price. So in order to do that, you can simply go over here and add a $sign right before the product price and give a space here. So now if we switch back and hit refresh, as you can see, our site actually looks quite better. So that's it for this lecture. And in the next lecture, we will go ahead and add the search functionality for our site so that we can go ahead and make a search for finding any particular product in here. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.